So in the autumn of 1665, Newton, from the evidence that we have, began to take an interest in music, or his interest in music intensifies during what seems to have been quite a short period of work. He produces about 20 pages of notes dealing with various different questions of the mathematics of music, and then he writes those notes up in the form of an essay, which he just titles Of Music. The background to all of this is 1665, the so-called Annus Mirabilis. Cambridge is effectively shut down by the plague, and Newton is back in the country, working very, very intensively on a whole range of different mathematical subjects. You can see that range and the range of his mathematical curiosity particularly well in these notes on music, because he uses the same sheets of paper to do several different things at the same time. The top half of the page, he's often got these purely geometrical or algebraic questions that he's thinking about. Then the bottom half of the page, there's what seems to be completely unrelated material, analysing the mathematics of the musical scale. He's apparently thinking these things through almost concurrently, throwing things down onto the page so fast that it becomes a kind of jumble, which is then quite a lot of work for the historian to sort out, but must have been quite a lot of work for Newton himself to sort out when he came to write these things up, for instance, in the essay on music. More widely, the background to his interest in music, this is a period when a number of English scientists and mathematicians are taking an interest in the mathematics of music, also in the nature of sound and the nature of musical sound in particular. To some extent, this has all been prompted by the appearance of a slim little book in 1650 by Descartes, called the Compendium Musicae. That had been written back in 1618, but only published shortly after Descartes' death. Published on the continent in 1650, translated into English 3 years later by Walter Charlton, and with a commentary by William Brunker. Charlton was quite a prominent natural philosopher. Brunker would be the first president of the Royal Society. So this is a book. Descartes' book about music is very much about the mathematics of musical tuning. If, for instance, we have two musical strings, identical in other respects but of different lengths, if those lengths form a pure ratio of whole numbers 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, then the sounds that the two strings produce will sound well together, it turns out. That's a fairly simple observation, but you can elaborate it a great deal. You can use it to help you build up a musical scale. You can use it to help understand how to tune instruments. You can even use it to help to think about how you might go about composing music. So there's a whole range of different implications that you can explore, some of which Descartes teases out in his brief book. And Descartes on music is very much a stimulus for other natural philosophers in the 1650s through to the end of the century to think about the same issues, sometimes in more detail or sometimes to take them in different directions. And that's certainly something that was important in Newton's mind when he made his notes on music and wrote his essay in 1665. We can see him specifically responding to certain of Descartes' ideas, copying out some of Descartes' diagrams, extending them, adding extra mathematical cases. There's a real drive to go beyond what Descartes had done with music perhaps to systematize things more satisfactorily.